Welcome to Remedy and Rhyme, where the voices of poetry and plants entwine, offering nourishment for the spirit and a gentle return to the heart of nature. I'm your host, Kimberly Kling of Joyful Roots, clinical and community herbalist. I'm so glad you've joined me here to share in the stories, reflections, and simple ways these green allies can nurture our everyday lives. This podcast is for educational and inspirational purposes only. I'm not a medical doctor or a licensed health professional, and nothing shared here is intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. The information provided has not been evaluated by the FDA. Herbs are powerful allies, but not without personality. If you experience an allergic reaction or discomfort from any herb mentioned, please stop using it. Also, if you're taking medications, check with your doctor about potential herb-drug interactions. Most importantly, you and you alone are the steward of your own body. What you choose to consume, apply, or integrate is entirely up to you. This is about health empowerment, listen with curiosity, and always honor your own body's wisdom. These episodes are dropped the first Wednesday of every month, and to go along with this podcast, I have a Patreon community where you can join me to explore these plants deeper. Find that at patreon.com/joyfulroots. Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Remedy and Rhyme. To be completely honest, I had a different plant planned for this month, but this other plant kept speaking to me, and so I decided to listen. And I think that you will understand why this plant was wanting to come through right now, especially given everything that we are going through in the United States, at least. And I'm sure there's some relevance on a global perspective as well. There's something about our plant ally rue that feels like it has some collective potency at this very moment. So I'd like to start with a poem that relates to the message of rue. Some set out with swords, killing others to claim Holy Land, a mission made of madness claimed in the name of good or God. Twisted games of holy names as silence force shines light on false realities. Follow the lies and you'll see the truth in opposites. Wicked deeds can't hide for long, especially in the presence of love. So make me a heretic. Make my mouth ripe with precision. Make my voice tremble with naked truth. Make my heart bleed with compassion. Make my womb ache with mercy and justice and love. Let me breathe the free air and run as a river. Let my thoughts break free, undo those chains locked in rigid ideals. Let my mind spiral as the seashell or the fern or swirling water. Cut me into pieces and I'll bleed with the earth. Better to die 1,000 deaths than lay buried in lies. Make me a heretic. Make my words like arrows, liberate my mind, give me skin of sovereignty and fingers of freedom, bring my blood to boil for all that is right. Let them search outside themselves. My body is my own holy land. Rue is a mysterious plant that walks a razor's edge. Rue, or Ruta graveolens, was carried by witches and midwives, used for protection, purification, and clear sight, not just to ward off evil, but to pierce illusion. Rue clears the fog, but it doesn't promise comfort. It's a truth teller, even when the truth stings. And really, isn't that the essence of heresy? To see clearly when everyone else agrees to look away. Rue doesn't whisper sweet reassurances. Rue has this sweet, sharp, almost biting scent that kind of just feels like a boundary, and it says, wake up. It says, see clearly. It says, stop swallowing what doesn't nourish your soul. In a world of propaganda and branding and endless consumption, Rue calls us back to our own discernment. Clear sight isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing yourself well enough to not be led by every shiny promise of seduction or fear-based call. Ru helps us perceive manipulation, whether it's political, religious, commercials, and guides us back into our own inner knowing. Clear sight cuts through both external illusion and internal delusion. It shows us where we participate in our own numbing, where we chase belonging through conformity or mistake peace for passivity. Ru is asking us to tap into our integrity of our own vision. I have rue growing in my garden, and sometimes when I have a question in my mind that I haven't been able to answer, or I need more clarity on something, I'll go out there and just nibble on a leaf. And what's wild is my actual vision feels clearer. And I've noticed that internally it clears sort of the cobwebs away as well. It's almost like there's a veil that's lifted, or the veil at least becomes more thin, and I can like tap into my own inner wellspring of clarity and see through illusion better. We live in a time where clarity is radical. The narratives we're fed are pretty layered. There's political theater, corporate greenwashing, spiritual commodification. And Ru helps us to see which stories are true and which are distraction, and which are soul siphoning illusions dressed as salvation. Clear sight doesn't mean cynicism, it means discernment paired with compassion. It's what helps us say no when the world demands a yes from us. Always, yes, yes. Don't you just want to say no sometimes? It's what helps us stay tender when disillusionment tempts us towards bitterness. Oh, and I've felt bitter before, I'll tell you that. It's what lets us hold paradox, that things can be breaking down and birthing at the same time. And we've talked a lot about paradox on this podcast before. It's interesting how so many plants help us with that one concept. Ru's clear sight might show us the cracks in the empire, but it also shows us the green shoots breaking through them. The heretic is able to see both. To be a heretic is to claim your own direct line to truth, your own holy land. It's not rebellion for its own sake, but for the sake of the soul's integrity. A heretic says, I'm not going to outsource my vision. That's the radical act that Ru blesses us with, trusting your own eyes, your own intuition, even when it contradicts what the crowd is saying. When you say, make me a heretic, you're saying a prayer for sovereignty, for liberation from indoctrination, from the noise that tries to sell us our worth. Ru's medicine is this kind of fierce independence. It clears what's been clouded, whether that's a bewitched eye or a bewitched culture. Like I said in my poem, make my mouth ripe with precision, make my voice tremble with naked truth. That trembling of naked truth is sacred. True sight isn't cold or detached. It's trembling because you have compassion and a raw ache to see things as they are and still choose love. When I say my body is a holy land, it's a radical reclaiming. The Holy Land isn't a place to be claimed or conquered by others. It's the sacred terrain of the self, the soul, the body, the intuition, the earth herself. Every time someone tries to extract from us, whether that's our labor, our attention, our devotion, our identity, Ru can help us reclaim the land within that's holy. When you tend to your own holy land, you're keeping your inner soil fertile, and you're keeping your boundaries intact and your waters flowing. Ru's blue-green leaves shimmer like something that's both earthly and ethereal, as if the plant is sort of sitting between worlds and reminding us that our own bodies are the meeting ground of spirit and matter. Ru tends to thrive where other plants struggle and teaches us that sovereignty isn't something that we create out of isolation. It's instead rooted in clarity, in our ability to uphold our boundaries, to see clearly, and therefore to go forth with that clarity and know what actions we should take and who and what we want to invite and commune with in our lives. Ruta is sometimes called the herb of grace because it grants something that's pretty rare: clear sight. Not just the ability to see the world as it is, but to see ourselves as we are, our own holy land. In a time when illusions are everywhere, when voices shout louder than vision, Ru reminds us to trust our own eyes, to follow our own compass, and walk in sovereignty, even if the world calls us heretics. So I'd like to share a bit of a made-up story about Ru, which draws on some of the myths that are out there, but I couldn't find any one specific myth that was strongly associated with Ru, so I kind of combined what we've been talking about with Ru in this beginning of this podcast with some of the concepts of mythology that are out there and created something new with it. Long ago, in the lands where the olive trees grow and the mountains touch the sky, there was a young seer named Selene. She had the gift of seeing not just the shapes of things, but their hidden truth and their soul. Yet this came at a price. The world was often trying to blind her, to twist what she saw, and to make her doubt herself. One day the winds brought whispers of a plant growing in the wild. It was a silvery blue-green herb that glimmered in sunlight. The elders called it Ruta, the herb of grace. They said it had the power to sharpen vision, to protect the eyes of those who dared to see clearly, and to strengthen the soul against enchantments of the world, the lies, the deception, and the manipulation. Selene found the plant growing among stones, its leaves trembling like a mirror of the sky. She crushed a few of the leaves in her hands and touched them to her eyes. Immediately, the world sharpened around her. Colors became deeper, shapes clearer, and truths long hidden revealed themselves in light and shadow. But more than that, she saw not just outward things, but inward things too. The illusions she held about herself began to fall away like the mist burning off of the morning fields. Ruta whispered to her, "Sovereignty comes to those who see. Clarity comes to those who listen. Grace comes to those who honor their own vision." And from that day forward, Selene walked among humans and spirits alike, never blinded by the enchantments of greed, fear, or power. People began to call her a heretic, but she wore the name like a crown. She followed her own inner compass and her own eyes, her own heart, and her own mind. And wherever she went, Ruta, or Ru, grew, shimmering in sunlight and guiding those willing to see clearly. As I was speaking about Ru in this episode, I was speaking about the genus as a whole, and we can draw from a wide heritage from the Mediterranean to the gardens of Ethiopia, where Ru has been used for centuries. But there are a couple different species of Ru. The one that's typically used in Western herbalism is the one I mentioned earlier, Ruta graveolens. And then in Ethiopia, and I would suspect probably anywhere else Ru is used in Northern Africa, it's the Ruta chalapensis species that's probably used. In Ethiopia, Ru is woven into everyday life. The herb is called Tena Adam in Amharic, and that literally means health for Adam. which is sort of referring to, in many cases, an Ethiopian coffee ceremony where rue is often placed in the coffee pot or the cup to lend its distinctive and slightly citrusy bitterness and fragrance to the cup of coffee. It's not just being added for flavor, it's a gesture of blessing and protection, which is believed to purify the space and invite vitality and peace to those who've gathered. The ceremony is a sacred act of hospitality and connection, where conversation, scent, and ritual weave together as the coffee is brewed 3 times and shared slowly among guests. Being that I'm not Ethiopian, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I have learned from reading online and in various places. And beyond coffee, rue is used throughout Ethiopia as both a culinary and symbolic herb. It might be tucked into homes for spiritual protection, added sparingly to spice blends or stews, or brewed as a mild infusion to settle the stomach or cleanse the senses. In rural traditions, it's also used in incense and as part of household rituals for warding off negativity or the evil eye, as we mentioned earlier. So, Tana Adam, or rue, in this sense, is bridging this concept of nourishment and grace, and then becomes a living reminder that health and clarity and peace are cultivated daily through presence and shared ritual. Rue has such a unique flavor that I don't think I could describe it if you've never tasted it. It's just one of those things that you have to taste. There's like a sweetness and a bitterness, and it's really typically used in small amounts in cooking because of this really strong flavor that it carries, but sometimes it's used to flavor olive oils or vinegars or sauces or soups, and it gives this like just subtle edge of discernment to the palate. In modern life, a pinch of rue can be added to roasted vegetables, or you can use that infused oil over top something that you've cooked. And when we're doing that, we could also incorporate an intention into our cooking that says, I'm tasting what I truly choose. So we're adding that layer of insight and clarity into the ritual of food and eating, which we all do every day. In Italy's Veneto region, there is Italy's oldest grappa distillery called Nardini, which was founded in 1779. They make a version of their spirit called grappa alla Ruta, which is infused with sprigs of fresh rue. And right in the bottle, you can actually see the little green branch suspended in the liquid inside. This practice comes from folk traditions of northern Italy, where rue was valued not only for its strong, distinctive aroma, but also for its protective and digestive qualities. A few drops of rue-infused grappa were once taken as a digestivo, which is a drink that's taken after heavy meals to cut through the richness, to stimulate the appetite, and to ward off ailments, both physical and spiritual. It's helping the body to process what it has consumed. And in other places around the world, rue is used in similar ways. In Eastern Europe, it's used to flavor heavy meats. In Singapore, the leaves are boiled with green beans to add flavor. And I'm sure in some ways that aids as a digestive accompaniment to the rest of the meal. And even in Cantonese cuisines, rue is commonly added to soups. In Western herbalism, Ayurveda, and Unani medicine, rue is considered to be a stimulant to the uterus and encourages suppressed menses and eases congestion of the uterus. Rue is specifically indicated when menstrual discomfort and cramps are worse, leading up to menses, and then once menses occurs, the comfort levels and pain improve. In addition to being a reproductive stimulant, rue is also considered a urinary stimulant, and this can help to improve feelings of pressure on the bladder after urination, or urinary frequency, or even involuntary urination during the night. In this way, rue moves what's been stagnant and invites flow where things have been frozen. Rue is a fairly strong herb, so it's probably one that's best to be used in conjunction with a trained herbalist, somebody who can help guide you if you are considering using rue for anything internally. And keep in mind that it's got a potential to interact with certain medications and should be avoided during pregnancy and breastfeeding. Another word of caution, rue has compounds in it which can cause phototoxicity, meaning that if you are working with rue, you may be extra sensitive to the sun. So it's recommended that if you're working with rue, you avoid direct sunlight. And also, if you're harvesting rue or working with it in the garden, wear protective clothing when handling the plant because it can actually irritate the skin. High doses of rue have been associated with things like depression, drowsiness, sleep disorders, dizziness, cramps, and gastrointestinal irritation. So again, use caution when working with this plant. In his book, Medical Herbalism, David Hoffman suggests that you can chew the fresh leaves to help ease tension headaches or ease heart palpitations and help to relieve general feelings of anxiety. Rue is considered a warming and stimulating herb, and it can be infused into carrier oils like olive oil, and then that oil can be applied in diluted or small amounts to ease tension, help with sore muscles, and help with menstrual discomfort, or perhaps, as in Mexican herbal traditions, used in or around the ear to help with earaches and ear pain. I have a few additional ideas for bringing rue into your life if you're feeling called to do so. One would be to make a rue and rosemary infused vinegar for either cleansing surfaces in your house as a cleaning ritual or even as a nice hair rinse. You could add a sprig of rue to your morning coffee or to a tea blend once in a while in the spirit of the Ethiopian tradition Tana Adam. Or maybe carry a little sprig of rue in your pocket or put it in an herb sachet and carry it with you for a little added protection and reminder to trust your intuition and trust your own sight. Rue is also an amazing ally to bring in as a flower essence because flower essences are gentle. They don't contain the actual plant constituents. It's the energetic vibration of the plant. It's a great way to bring the spirit of rue into your life without imbibing in the actual herb, which can have, interactions, as we talked about earlier, might not be right for everyone. Herbalist Matthew Wood speaks of rue as a plant that can help somebody who appears calm on the outside but might be suppressing anger or feelings of helplessness, may have a lot of contradictory feelings or be suspicious a lot or experience alternating depression and anxiety. So this might be a person that would benefit from the flower essence of rue, which is a pretty safe way to use this plant. And also, if you feel like you want to bring in any of the aspects, the emotional, spiritual aspects that I talked about earlier in this episode with rue, a flower essence is a wonderful way to do that. Just bringing the actual plant into your life without ingesting it and just having a relationship with that plant is also a beautiful way to do it. You don't have to take a plant internally to work with it. So as we wrap up this episode about our beautiful friend rue, I'd love to leave you with some reflection and journaling prompts. When you strip away what the world tells you you should believe or pursue, what truth remains steady and clear beneath all the noise? What beliefs or norms no longer feel true in your bones? And what would it take to release them without guilt or fear? What does it mean for your body, your mind, and your voice to be your own holy land? A place you defend, nurture, and honor with clarity and grace. And when you look at others, what part of your own story might you be projecting onto them? How can you practice clearer and more compassionate sight? Thanks so much for joining me today. I would love to hear more of your poems. So If you have a poem that you would like to submit for a future episode, I would love to take a listen and see if it's right for any of the upcoming herbs that we're going to be talking about. Although I love sharing my poetry with you, I really would love to make this a community collaborative effort. So don't be shy. Feel free to send some poetry in my way, and I'm going to keep a running list of plants that I'd like to talk about in the future on my website. You can find that list on my website at joyfulroots.com/plantpoems. That's plantpoems. To submit a poem, please send me an email at kim@joyfulroots.com, and in the title of the email you can tell me that it's a poetry submission for Remedy and Rhyme. And I am so excited to keep sharing the wisdom of plants and poetry with all of you. If you enjoy this journey and would like to help support this podcast, whether energetically, financially, or just by sharing it with a friend, I would be so grateful. Your support helps to keep this space alive, allows me to continue exploring new herbs, crafting new episodes, and sharing inspiration with you. One of the easiest ways to support this podcast is to rate and review it in your favorite podcast app. You can also join our Remedy and Rhyme Patreon page, which is available at patreon.com/joyfulroots. You'll find all sorts of goodies there, including plant stories, recipes, and more. There is a free membership, but if you are able to help support the podcast via any sort of monetary donation, that is super appreciated. This episode is also brought to you in part by my favorite matcha on the planet, Posana Matcha. It's certified organic, third-party tested to ensure that it's free of heavy metals. It's pure, safe, and absolutely delicious. I love indulging in this every day. It's a single origin matcha that's grown in the lush fields of Shizuoka, Japan. And honestly, it's the only matcha that I reach for anymore. So when you use my code JOYFULROOTS, that's JOYFULROOTS, at checkout on Posana's website, you'll get 10% off your order, and you'll be supporting this podcast through the small affiliate commission that I receive, which helps me to continue creating this empowering herbal content just for you. You can find the link in the show notes or head to posana.net, that's POSANA.net, and use the coupon code JOYFULROOTS at checkout for 15% off your order. I'd like to give thanks for the music in the intro and the outro that is called Bedtime After a Coffee by Ikun Baradine on Chosik. I'd like to give immense thanks to my family for supporting me in this herbal journey, and for all of my friends and community who have also been so supportive. I'd like to give a shout out to all of the other herbalists who have influenced me. There are really just too many to name, but I'm so appreciative. And of course, my deepest gratitude goes to our plant allies who have honestly taught me more than I could have ever imagined. I'll see you in the next episode.